Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Niels van der Berg, your host for Blade Talk today, and with me in the shop I have got my handy helper,
the talented Sean.
The talented Sean. I like that. Okay, so that's Sean Softly, and I'm Niels van der Berg with Black Dragon Forge, and we're doing Blade Talk. All right, so what we have is I've got quite a few exhibitors coming up with the Brooklyn Knife Show at the end of the month, right? So the first weekend in December. So that is the 29th of November, the 30th of November, that is the Saturday, and then Sunday, the 1st of December, in the Brooklyn Mall in Brooklyn, Pretoria, South Africa. Yeah, and keep in mind that the Friday, 29th of November, is actually Black Friday. Yeah, so can't speak for the other exhibitors, but I will definitely, as Black Dragon Forge, will have a couple of Black Friday specials running, specifically on the Black Dragon Forges. But enough of self-promotion, shameless punting, and the works. What we're here to discuss today is, shows. Promotion at shows and the like. So what we're going to do, just give me 2 seconds. I just want to make sure that all the technology is actually playing the same game here. Yeah. All right. And now we're going to have some feedback. All right, so we're just going to kill that completely. There you go. Sean is just going to keep an eye on comments for us. Okay. So long story short, Cor, Trevor, Foster, Marcel van Askweert, Weersting, and Willevere. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, so thank you, Chulu. All right, so we're going to get on to the topic for today is knife promotion. All right, why do we go to shows? What do we need to consider before you go to a show? And when I started knife making, even up to now, there's no one aside from myself and my good mate, Mr. Stuart Smith, from Smith Hand Forge, was supposed to join us in this discussion, but it is his wife, his lovely wife, Michelle's birthday today. So if you have her or Stuart on social media, just wish Michelle a happy birthday, right? So they are off gallivanting, running around in the shops, and in general just farting around as you should be. Michelle, once again, congratulations. Happy birthday, and I hope you get spoiled rotten. Hint, hint. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, let's get on to this. So, knife shows, there's a couple of things that I would want us to discuss. Number one, the following. All right. So, what is a knife show? Why do we, well, not what is a knife show, but why do we go to knife shows? All right. And I've got it broken down into 4 categories: a show, trade, educate, and gather. That is my 3 aims, or my 4 aims when it comes to knife shows. Is to, number 1, show my body of work. That incorporates the table layout, blah, 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 the trade part of it, actually selling, swapping information, shopping products for money, products for products, building those relationships going forward. Educate is what we do. You are either an educator or you are not. Okay, so using education as part of your sales strategy, and then the last thing, and this is the main reason I go to show, is to gather information. Yeah, whether it's gathering like-minded people or people that are interested in your products, gathering them onto a mailing list or onto a contact list, and then following up after the show. But these are the points that I would like to discuss with you guys. So let's just get going on to the first one, which is obviously show. All right, so at the show, and a good mate, Mr. Tian Berger, explained this brilliantly. It says, a show is exactly what the word says. You are there to show and tell. So you want to brand yourself and you want to brand your table. Everything that you put down there has to reflect who you are, what you stand for, and so forth. Yeah, your brand is not just your logo. The best explanation for what a brand is, I have heard, is what your clients or what the public say about your company is the culmination of your brand and branding exercises. Right, so long story short, what you want at least is a branded shirt. You want to stand behind the table with a shirt looking like you know what you're doing, all right? At least look the part. Then your tablecloth, if you can, if there is way more time, or there is time available for you to do this, and this is why I am doing this course right now. Branded shirt, branded tablecloth. These, you can do them yourself. There are numerous YouTube videos on how to do your own shirt. Yeah, stencil a logo on there, done. A ink pen, write your logo, draw something. Just
Spray paint if you want
spray
to.
paint if you want to, or you can have it screened, right? Dye sublimation printing is a real thing. You're going to use that in your branded tablecloth. If you're going to have branded tablecloths done, you can either have it sublimation printed or you can have it embroidered. Yeah, but your logo, that you want at least visible on your table. So if you stand in front of your table, and you obviously set this table up and do all this planning before you hit the show. And please don't do it the day before the show, because you'll have 5,000 things to think of. And obviously, this here is the last thing that makers think of. But it's the first thing that your clients or potential clients actually look at. All right, so then a way to present your body of work. Obviously, what is on the table, your product that you are selling, is not your entirety of what you've made. It might not be the best work that you've ever done, blah, 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 blah. So you will have something like a photo book, an old-fashioned, just a flip thing with photos that you've printed, or you can have a digital photo frame. A lot of guys have got iPads. I've got my Samsung freaking pad thingy that's just ancient, but yeah, you've got your cell phone. You can stick that on a little cell phone holder. I have got one that I clamp to tables and stuff, and then my phone just sits on here. It can do either or, blah, 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 blah. Don't go just buy the first thing you see, because, well, you need one. Yeah, go and do the research, book those things far in advance, and then put them in a box. On one of the previous webcasts I did, I actually showed you guys my little show grab bag where all the stock, all the paperwork and the plasters and the spare cigarettes and the blah, blah, all of that's in there. And then the next point I want to talk about is your stock layout. In other words, this is the layout of your table. So you're obviously going to do that beforehand. Don't do a mashup. Think about it, man. Center outwards. Keep in mind our previous discussions. Kill it. I don't want to take phone calls while I'm talking about this, right?
We've just been kicked out.
You've just been kicked out. Cannot play video. No, just do that. Okay, but anyway, so Sean is using my phone for the first time. Maybe next one we'll ask Sean to use his own phone.
I've got a typewriter, man.
All right, otherwise you need to have a look over here. Now you're going to see Sean squinting, because he's as blind as I am. But anyway, so the layout of your table, in other words, where the photo frame is going to sit, where your logo is going to be. We talked about in previous sessions, we talked about leaving a space on your table open, maybe have a black mouse pad on there, or even your logo on a nice pad. And we're talking about something soft and squishy, where it's the dedicated area where your client can handle the blade. So if he drops it, blah, 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 it doesn't shatter on other blades, and so and etc, etc, etc. So your stock display, so aside from figuring out how you want your knives laid out, and of course you will never have a blade pointing towards your customer. The blades, if you're standing behind the table, will always point towards you, so that it makes it easier for the client to pick up the blade. So your stock display, your stands, your tags. Do I believe every single product should be priced on your table? Yes. Maybe not a sticker on the knife, yeah, but a little tag standing next to it, and that tag can also carry your brand. I'm going to ask you, who's your designer? Yeah, if you can't answer that question, then you've missed the point. Every single thing of this, like your knife, that was designed, that was drawn, and then you made it, blah, 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 blah. Same thing. There's a bit of forethought that needs to go into this, all right? And then last thing under show is you want a visual or visible contact information. This is aside from the legal stuff, and if you've got yourself, it's your problem, blah, 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 blah. Me as the exhibitor cannot be held responsible, or the venue, or the blah, 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 blah. So aside from that little disclaimer, the easiest way for people to get a hold of you is if they can see they can get hold of you. I'm not talking about your business card lying on the table. I'm talking about what if you ran out of business cards. Now, we also know that knife shows worldwide is also a place where guys will go and collect business cards. So business card collection is an actual real thing. So if you don't have boxes and boxes full of business cards, well, you just have a little display with your contact details on there, and guys can take a photo of that, incorporating a QR code in there. So if you scan it with a Samsung, it's got built-in QR capability. iPhone's got built-in QR capabilities. Set the QR code up in such a way, like mine is, that if a guy scans it, it brings up a photo of me, all my contact details, my email addresses, my website addresses, blah blah, a small little description of who I am, what I do, etc., etc. And that's all immediately savable to the guy's phone. All right, so that was on, well, show, right? So the next one I want to talk about is trade. So let's talk about trade. So the trade part of it is that's where you want to get rid of the stuff that you brought to trade, right? But the first thing you need to do is realize that this is a mind game. Yeah, you have to be prepared. You have to at least have a basic sales pitch prepared that you've practiced. Yeah. When your wife tells you, you know what, I will just shut up. I'll take that knife, and she really didn't want it. Then you've got a pitch prepared, right? You want to be prepared, you want to be friendly, and you want to be polite. Even if a guy just rushes past your table, have a little joke prepared. Say, hey dude, no need to run, all the cool knives are here. You don't need to buy, just come and have a look. All you need to do is make that guy stop in front of your table so that you can pitch, right? Get a knife in his hand, done. I can promise you, as soon as you pop a knife in a guy's hand, a guy that is really interested in that knife, it's going to be extremely difficult for him to put it down. Right, so then you obviously, part of the trade is trading cash, and you need to be able to accept cash. Do you have change? Do you have a float? If you're carrying a float, in other words, you go to the show with 1,000 cash as a float, you need to know how many 20s, how many 10s, how many 50s, how many blah, 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 blah. Keep a record of that, because obviously that first day you're going to think, hell man, I made 1,000 rand more than I budgeted for. Yeah, that's your float. Yeah, and your float is what you go to the show with, so it can't be seen as part of your profit. Then, do you have credit card facilities? Have you got your banking details readily available on a piece of paper where you can tell the guy, transfer the money, EFT. Do that. Everyone wins. The money is straight in your account. The client can leave. He didn't have to take cash out. Then a sales book. On my screen, I see that I've also done it, called it an invoice book. Quinton, Nant, Michelle, Michael, how's it going? Victor, how's it, guys? So that sales/invoice book is basically a book where you can write down everything regarding anyone that is interested in the products that you have to sell, the products or the services, whether it's services or products that you are planning to sell that you're talking to them about, or whether it is please kill it, thank you very much, turn it upside down when it starts ringing. There we go. All right, so but that is a book where you use exclusively at shows to record potential interest. Every single sale gets written down in that book. Not just the sale and what was sold, but the person that you sold to. His information is more important than what you sold and how much you sold it for. All right. Then every single show in South Africa, locally, and I do know a lot of the club shows internationally will give you a show sales sheet that you do have to record. And then hand back to the show organizer so that we as the organizers can gauge what's happening with the show, right? Whether our marketing efforts were going, what's the average sales price on knives, based on the last, well, this will be the 7th year that we're doing Brooklyn Knife Show, so I can give you the sales figures for every single person that has ever attended the show, what the average sales price or the sales price of a knife was for that guy for the show, entirely broken up into bladesmiths, knife makers, suppliers, blah 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 blah. But you can't issue the stats, you don't have the stats. But anyway, so long story short, make sure that you fill in your sales sheets per every single sale, and the more information you can collect, the more information you have to go on after the fact. All right, and the last thing is a mailing list sign-up sheet. This is easy as that. If someone's interested in your stuff and you have got a mailing list, have a sheet dedicated, ready, so that the guy can just fill it in and done. You've got another guy signed up to your mailing list. All you now need to do is not just take down the numbers or the names, but actually add them to your mailing list after the show. So a lot of guys are under the impression that a show is the end of it. You've now sold all your knives. That's where you work really begins. But my point with this whole discussion is that you need to be prepared. You need to think about these things before you walk into that show. Otherwise, you're not going to be prepared, right? And the prepared was the very first little thing I covered under trade. So then number 3 is educate. You need to educate yourself as much as your clients. All right. So what you need to do is you need to prepare a little thing, because people are going to ask you, where did you start out? Why do you do what you do? What is the aim for you at the show? So if you can answer those 3 questions, all right, where did you start? That'll make you think and realize where you end up at the moment. Okay, and there's always these little entertaining tales that you can share with just passerbys. It's just something to kill the silence. If you realize a guy is not going to buy and he's the only guy in your aisle, you might as well chat with him, right? Connect him on a different level. That guy will remember you for the rest of his life because you weren't someone that just wanted to sell something with him. There's that bond that you created. He knows more about you, your background, and it's just a little tire just to start a conversation. Why do you do what you do? A lot of knife makers don't know, because they've never. It's something I started as a hobby. I became good, and well, people started ordering knives, and now I'm at the knife show. If that's your reason for going to a knife show, speak to me. I'll give you your money back, and then you just stay at home, because you've got no incentive to be there. Realize why you do what you do. Yeah, and then the last one is, what is the aim for you at this show? If it is to sell, well, if that's it, then, well, good luck and just get rid of the product on your table. If it is something more, stick around. Yeah. Then when I say I educate, use education, well, as a tool to sell. Yeah, you've got 4 or 5 different varieties of steel on your table. While a guy is just looking, and he's picking up a carbon steel blade or a stainless blade, saying, "Look, do you know what the difference is between a plain carbon blade and, for instance, the blade in Bowler N690 that you have in your hand? Do you know what classifies a steel as a stainless steel? Do you know what the chemical composition is of 5160, for instance?" And half of the guys are going to look at you like you are stupid, but it's just something to start the conversation. What is the difference between Micarta and G10? Yeah, why do I prefer G10 over unstabilized wood, for instance? Edge geometry. What is the difference between edge geometry between an EDC, so a knife that you carry around every single day, and a Skinner, for instance? Yeah. Why would I pick a higher carbon steel and predominantly a carbon steel and not a stainless steel for a Skinner blade as opposed to an everyday carry? What's the just in chef's knives, what's the difference between a Japanese chef's knife and a European chef's knife? And it's not just the overall shape, although that has got to do with it. Just for your sake, Japanese edges on traditionally carbon steel and carry a lot thinner and more fragile edge. So if you are more prone to a heavy hand while chopping, you don't really know what you do, but you pretend to be a cook, then European style blades, which is normally a bit heavier, I'm talking thicker, a bit more robust, will suit you probably a bit better. Yeah, so it's the very first chef's knife you're buying. I would probably not sell you a Japanese style chef's knives. Yeah, if you're not going to look after your blade, you're going to stick it through a dishwasher. Definitely not a Japanese style blade. What sets you or your product apart? Have something prepared. Look, for me, I say a lot of times, look, at my table you get free lip. Everyone says, "Oh, you can sharpen. I will. All my knives are lifetime guaranteed. And if you come around to my shop, I will sharpen your knife for free." You've heard me say that. Yeah. So everyone says that, man. It's kind of like, "Hello, my name is Niels van der Berg. I will sharpen your knife for free." All I want to do with that is get you in my shop so I can sell you another knife, right? But at a show, that means nothing. Think about that. What sets you apart from the two guys sitting right next to you at that show? What can you use to up your game without seeming to look down at your neighbors? Yeah, because if you say, "Look, my knife is the best knife at the show," and there's 200 other guys, yeah, you'll most probably walk out of there with a fucking blue eye or a broken nose. If you're standing next to me, I would spend the rest of that show just nitpicking on you through clients where you can't get aggro. Because if you then strip your mood, all it shows is that you are this big. But you understand where I'm going with this, all right? Pick something, focus on that. What makes your knives unique? Why are you at that show? Why do you think your knife will sell? Why do you know your knife will sell? And use that as a part to educate and, use that education as part of a sales meeting. Because if I can promise you one thing, and I've seen this over the last 10 years, if I talk about, the state of knife making in South Africa at an international show, or what happens at general knife meetings, or how a local show compared to an international show, whether it's a knife maker or just a client, these guys stop and listen to what I'm saying. And then never fear, I will pull that conversation into what I've got on the table. Yeah. Just learn to sell. Use education. And people are saying, yeah, but people don't know how to use a chef's knife or what the difference is between a hiki and a haki. I don't care. Use the opportunity to sell. Set yourself up as the expert behind the table. Yeah? Good. I never claim to be the expert. There's always a knower. Someone that has weathered a storm bigger than you have done in your life somewhere. And that guy might just be listening to what you say. So never claim to be an expert. Then what we're going to do is talk the last one. We've covered trade. We've covered education. We're now going to cover gather. Gather. And that is for me the reason I do shows. Gather interest. The reason I do shows is to get guys that are interested in what I have to say, what I do, what I stand for, what products I have on my table at that given point in time, to get their information on my book so that I can sell to them in future. It is one thing to go to a show and say, look, after this 3-day show, I came away with 2,000 people on my mailing list. There's a lot of guys, if you do, for instance, a draw. Yeah, so take one of your knives, put it down as a raffle, and you say, look, I'm going to charge you 20 bucks. All right, this is a 2,000 Rand knife or $2,000 knife. 20 bucks will get you a raffle ticket. You can buy as many as you want, but you have to complete all your details on a little piece of paper. I will chuck it in a fishbowl, and on the Sunday I'll do a draw. That is one way to gather information. Okay, people to your mailing list, especially at the top. You concede to be on my mailing list by entering the competition. Just don't give them an option. If they don't want to be on a mailing list, then don't enter the competition. Done. It can be part of the rules. So POPI, Protection of Personal Information Act, specifically in South Africa, does give you space to actually do that little trick, right? And then as long as you put them on a mailing list where there is a way to opt out, in other words, they need to be able to unsubscribe. Done. Okay. But the whole idea for me behind the show is to gather information, gather that specific, or the group of people, even if it's just 20 people, even if it's just 10, even if it's just 5, 2. I've come away from Blade Show where it costs you a fortune to get from South Africa to the States to do Blade Show with 2 contacts, 2 new contacts. That was for me, I was smart. 2 new contacts. Those were business contacts. Yeah, and those 2 business contacts in the last 6 months have made me some real money. Yeah, so this is the reason we go to shows. This is why we show what you can do with regards to the product on the table, the little dance, the little spiel, the talking, the party, the camaraderie, the sitting and talking with your fellow knife makers. Gather interested prospects and mine them. This is another thing that knife makers don't do, is you do not mine your existing clients. I can tell you that. And don't say, oh, I do. No, you don't. Half of the guys looking at this, I can promise you, do not even have a client list. Yeah. The last knife show you went to, did you actually send emails to those guys saying, thank you for your purchase at my show? I haven't done that yet. I have not done that. Go. But maybe I follow my own bloody advice and do that. Especially now that I only sell 5 or 6 knives at the show. Well, I can do that, right? So what's keeping my lazy ass from doing it? But anyway, so another thing is you need to record every single sale in detail. If you're taking 20 knives or 200 knives, like I used to 3-4 years ago, going to a show with 200 knives, I used to say, look, I won't do a show if I don't at least have 100 knives. You can't sell 100 knives, you don't have 100 knives. Blah, 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 blah. I've used all of those excuses. And I have taken 300-400 knives to a show where my guys literally, I almost killed them. 4 or 5 months before a show, you push. Aside from getting orders done. But anyway, long story short, all your documentation has to be ready. So if you sell a knife, your certificate of authenticity, have the knife details slip with it so you can pull that out. Write the client's detail, yada yada yada, and that becomes your sales reference. Put it in that book. Done. Yeah, so immediately when you get home, you know exactly what sold, the price that you sold it for, whether it was credit card, whether it was a check, whether it was a blah blah blah. If you're in South Africa, don't take checks. Yeah, easy as that. Done.
No matter what.
Yeah. If a guy in South Africa wants to write you a check, know that he's trying to do you in. Done. Yeah, it's easy as that. In the States, yeah, I'll still accept the check. But that's the States. All right. But anyway, record every single sale in detail. That was it. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Niels van den Berg and an extremely bored-looking Sean Softly.
Because nobody commented on
no
anything.
one commented. No one is Conrad Hicks, Mark Claw Cooper, Christy Jacobs, Bux van der Walt, everyone. Hendrik,
even Isabel.
Dreyer. Everyone is just looking at me and no one is saying anything. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Niels van den Berg with Black Dragon Forge here for Blade Talk with the ever talented Sean Softly. Guys, have fun, enjoy. Thank you, and you guys can follow us. Well, not on social media. Follow. Stick around where you are at the moment. There's a reason you came across Play Talk, right? So any suggestions in future topics, let me know, and we'll take it from there, right? If you would like to be interviewed by me live on air, give me a call, man. Give me a call. We set something up. It doesn't have to be knives. If you are a maker of anything, if you are an artist, yeah, give me a call. I would like to talk to you. It's easy as that. Yeah, ladies, gentlemen, have fun, enjoy, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for joining us. Cheers.